Melanie, my little angel friend.
Amber.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm great. I had a really good day.
Why?
Therapy was really nice. It was hard, but it was really good.
What's your favorite part about therapy?
Oh man. I'm about to cry. The space to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just such a cool thing. I actually had like a little anxiety going in today and I felt bad for unloading on someone who I liked because I like my therapist. And I was like, it was such a weird feeling of like, I don't want to, because any other friendship, you don't just talk all the time. You let them talk too. So I just had like a weird moment and I shared that with her, and it was just, she was like, I like my job and I like what I do. And I had a different perspective. It was just, I'm healing and it's so nice. I'm healing a very hard thing in me right now about like how I feel about men specifically. And I didn't realize how deep it is and how like intertwined in a lot of things in my life. And it's just really cool to be diving in there. It's so cool to take care of yourself, man. It's like the best thing in the world.
It is.
It's like the best drug ever.
Yes. Yeah. You find the need to not do those things, to feel different than yourself.
What do you mean? Do the thing like bad habits?
Well, whether that's watching TV all the time or using substances or working or the distraction stuff, you have less of a need to do that because you're not wanting to distract from yourself. I remember one time I was like, I don't really like to drink anymore because it makes me feel like separate from myself. And they're like, isn't that the point? I was like, I guess so. I was like, but I don't like feeling that way anymore. So I think the more you can, like you mentioned, we were able to like just sit in some things. You're able to heal from them. And you don't. There's not. You're getting rid of that stuff you don't have to sit in anymore.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so cool to get to know me. Like, you know, I'm like today I felt. Remember a long time ago with Kevin James, I was like, how do you get to that 80-year-old feeling without being 80?
Yeah.
And I felt that today. Like, it was just so nice. It's so nice to get to know all parts of me.
Yeah.
And look at my trauma and look at the joy and just get to know myself. It's the best thing in the world.
Oh,
and
I love that.
So grateful that you that you provided such a good space for that.
Yeah.
Really grateful.
Well, you're welcome. You show up to it. You're the one giving it to yourself, honestly.
Yeah. I know. My therapist was like, I'm not a magical wizard. I don't heal you. I just give you space. And I was like, oh, shit. You're right.
Yeah. Because you can be offered stuff all day long. You don't show up to it. And you show up and it sounds like doing the work from what you share with me. Like,
most definitely.
You're not just trying to entertain your therapist, which I know we've talked about comedians can do. It's like trying to just be funny.
Right.
You really get into your stuff.
Yeah, it's really nice. How was your day?
My day, it was good. I got to work from home today.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm working on my workshop. I'm going to be teaching a workshop at the end of the month. So I took the day to really work on that.
That's so exciting. And preparing for your talk too at Belmont, right?
Vanderbilt. Yeah. So I'm going to, the nursing school asked me to come teach one class, not a whole course. I can't ever think of like a guest lecture, I guess.
Yeah.
But to talk about psychedelic assisted therapy. So I was super excited that Vanderbilt is wanting to know more about that work and to have somebody come in and talk. So I'm super excited and honored to do that.
Yes. And your talk at the end of the month is for practitioners.
Yeah. I kind of just do things when I feel like there's a need. And I feel like with psychedelics is kind of blowing up everywhere. People are trying them and have been for a long time, but even more so now as it's getting brought into the spotlight for healing. So whether people are seeking that out in a therapy room or on their own, we need support. And your therapist, whether they do the dosing sessions or not, are going to be the best people to help you prepare and then integrate. That's how we make use of it is really, we can ensure safety and prepare on the front end, but then we need to integrate the wisdom we pick up in those when we interact with the medicine. So the workshop is I want to help therapists and practitioners learn how to use the skills they already have in the context of working with someone that's engaging with psychedelics.
That's awesome. Is
Yeah.
it going to be available for people to watch if they can't come?
Yeah, I hope to
Cool.
offer. I am going to record it because it's online, so anybody, you don't have to be in Tennessee to join. But I'm going to record it for that, but I also want to be able to offer it because I want to do some non-medicine experientials, and just be I want it to be more of like I'm not just like regurgitating information, but it creates more of a conversation. So there's going to be lots of materials, and I'm huge on providing resources, and I'll overdo it on the information stuff so that you have it to sift through later. But I really like it to be interactive. So I hope if there continues to be interest, I want to keep offering it. Just because I love those spaces, and I'm learning that I supervise therapists, and it's my way of kind of teaching, but I think I like leaning into this teaching thing in whatever capacity that looks like. So
Yes, I fully support that.
thank you.
So our guest today was
Yeah.
Allie Newsome. She's
Yes.
a new friend of mine. And I had such a good time, but I want to know your thoughts on how, like, what you thought about the experience.
I loved hearing her story in the way that she shared it, and her vulnerability. And there was a few times we were kind of like, hey, calling out some things and making some points, and she was like, yeah, and really just sharing her story in a very authentic way. It was
Yes.
refreshing. Beforehand, I thought she would be more just full on jokes and not really going into her story, but she showed up, and I appreciated that. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I almost expected the same. Hi, Allie. And she was so awesomely vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely an attractive quality. I think
Mhm.
it's really dope.
Yeah, I think we've been lucky getting guests that would do that.
Mm-hmm.
She almost cried, she said.
Yeah. You could see him like sitting on the ledge.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I just really appreciated some of those things were hard to talk about, but she did.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing at such a young age, some of the things, but then seeing where she's even gotten to now. She's still a young person. She probably feels very old, soul, kind of like
Yeah.
lots of experience in that way. That's when some people say I'm an old soul. I just hear I've had a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope I get to interact and cross paths with her again.
I think you will.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
hope so.
We were like, visit Melanie. But I think that people listening are really going to enjoy it. There were some
Yeah.
good fun moments, and also just some like, I love this little treat. I love what you said about like male therapists with like
Oh.
male trauma. It's really
Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
It's a great episode. So
Yeah. And y'all fell in love with each other.
it keeps happening.
You're hard not to fall in love with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel the same about you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
No, you said it perfectly.
Okay. I love you.
I love you too.
I hope everybody enjoys this episode.
I don't want to laugh at that.
Too self-deprecating.
Yes.
It's a fact.
Yes. Yeah, but you were like, hide it. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You're like, he's already off to a bad start. I'm just gonna-
No. No. Are we good?
Rolling with the homies.
Rolling with the homies.
I don't know what you're singing.
What?
What is it?
Clueless.
Clueless. Have you seen that?
I've never seen it.
Oh man, we
gotta watch it.
Okay, canceling this.
I grew up without cable. I grew up really poor.
Oh no, I feel bad.
I miss some like cultural references sometimes because like I watched stuff that was like too old, right? So I had like a really
Oh.
adult sense of humor really young because I watched like sitcoms and stuff I shouldn't have watched.
With your
because
mom?
we had like nothing else. Yeah.
Oh wow,
Like
what'd
my
you
favorite
watch?
movie as a kid was like First Wives Club. Like
Oh, I love First
like
Wives
a
Club.
divorced 5-year-old for no reason, like just bitter, you know.
Were you trying to talk to your friends about First Wives Club?
Yeah, they were like, "What?" I was like, "Bette Midler is a tree. You don't even know." what?
Do you know that In These Shoes? No way, Jose. That song that she sings.
I feel like I do because my mom used to like shut her door and blast like Bette Midler and stuff, and she'd be like, "No one bother me," and you'd hear her like dancing and singing.
Yeah.
And I feel like I still do that. In my room. That's why I have a bottom floor apartment. So I can dance around. Yeah.
Before you started to say a sentence before we started filming, and we were like, "Wait, hold that." So now I want to bring it back up.
Do you remember it? Because I don't.
I never forget it.
She's good at stuff like that. Not me.
Yeah, I'll be like,
where did that go? You said that you listened to sad music before.
Yeah.
Stand up?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
I feel like because I'm just like too, like not nervous. Yeah, nervous because I care.
Yeah.
And I want to do good.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just brings me down a little bit.
Oh,
like because right
interesting.
before my adrenaline's gonna go up no matter what, so I don't need to get it like just fucking pumped. Like
Yeah.
I need to like be down a little bit before, so I'm like
You gotta
driving.
bring it down to pull me back up.
Yeah.
I'll be listening to like some sad Taylor Swift just.
I've never heard of that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
I'm a little twisted. I feel like but it makes sense to me. Like I don't drink caffeine before I go up because then I've done that one time and I was like, like you could hear my voice shaking. And I was like, that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, you're just sweating.
Yeah.
Oh.
Dripping.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Terrible.
When did you start stand up?
October of 2021, 2022.
Okay.
This is 2022. This is 2023. I forgot the year.
That's okay.
It's fine.
It's all the same.
After 2020, does it even count?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
It all blurs together.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So October of like last year.
Okay. And I know we've talked about this when we first met, but why did you start?
I've always wanted to do stand up since I was really, really little. Like I said, I watch things
Watching
way
those
too old for
sitcoms.
me. I would watch like George Carlin on like VHS and stuff.
Oh,
So like I was like a
wow.
5-year-old watching that. Which is not great, but I never felt like I had enough to say when I was younger, if that makes sense. I wanted to like live a little more before I started doing stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Even though like I had plenty to say looking back now from like my childhood, I had plenty to say, but I just wanted to like get more life experience, I guess.
Okay.
And I struggle with a lot of like perfectionism. I was like kind of like, I was like in a gifted program as a kid, and like my mom really like always wanted us to be kind of perfect at stuff. I've never felt like I could fail, so I was just so scared of
wow.
something that I wanted to do so bad that I wouldn't be good at it.
Oh.
And I saw something like 2 years ago that was like, I'm not afraid to be seen trying, and it like changed my life, my perspective.
Oh.
And I was like, dude, like you're getting, like, I was like, I've always wanted to do it before I turned 30. I turned 30 this March, and I was like, time is ticking, bitch. Like, you need to get started. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So,
Okay, wait. Will you repeat what you saw that changed your life?
I'm not afraid to be seen trying.
And can you put some more words to that of like what you heard or saw and what that changed for you?
Yeah, like I never realized that I struggled with perfectionism until one of my friends said something about me being a perfectionist, and I was like, no one's ever gonna believe that because I'm not even close to being perfect enough to be called a perfectionist. And she was like,
oh.
and I was like, I feel like we might have tapped into something a little deeper that I didn't know I struggled with. And I'm pretty sure I have like OCD too. So like that kind of plays a part into it. Like I just can't start something if I don't think I'll be any good at it. Like I took one of those like paint classes that you like someone sketches something out that my friend was teaching, and I legitimately wouldn't start because I knew I wouldn't be good at it.
Oh, wow.
And she thought it was like funny, and she was like, look at Allie back there, like not even starting. And I was like, and I was like hiding tears like I was in on the joke, and I was like, oh, that's so funny. And then later I told her about it, and I was like sobbing, and she was like, I didn't know you were like that. Because I feel like I come off kind of like chill and like whatever, but I'm like secretly like dying inside. Like not like dying
Aw.
inside, but like with OCD and stuff. I like do skin picking and stuff. Like I pick at my thumbs a lot is a huge thing. So like my thumbs will be like bleeding and I'll be like, yeah, that's cool. Like whatever. Yeah.
Still, you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to fix because I don't want anyone to take it away from me. I love it.
Melanie, what do you think about that?
That's another episode.
She's like, she's gotta go.
My first thought was like, well, let's just find a different behavior we can replace that with.
I've tried.
that might not make us bleed.
I've tried like rings and stuff. My thumbs they've been through it.
I do the same. I do it too.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whenever I find, like, whenever I meet
I
someone
don't
and they
realize
do it,
then
I'm
it's
like,
ow. Yeah.
it doesn't even hurt me anymore.
Yeah.
You're like,
Let's talk about that later.
yeah, I feel like we really bonded over that.
Why do you think your and correct me if this wasn't the right wording that you said, but why do you think your mom didn't want you to fail? Is that what you said? She
Kind of, yeah. Like my mom always took a lot of pride in like that me and my sister were both like gifted and tested like high on IQs and stuff like that. So and my sister's IQ is higher than mine. So I was like kind of like, you know, like you're the second born too, right?
Mhm.
So like my sister was just very like ADD, kind of like took all the attention and stuff like that.
Oh.
And so I just felt like I had to do extra good on stuff to like be even noticed in my house almost.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's your survival skill.
It's a survival skill. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
second
like-
born, single mom, like
How you get love. Yeah.
yeah,
That
yeah,
idea of
absolutely.
any attention is good attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even like I was talking to my mom about this the other day. She was like, you just always self-soothed so well. And I was like, did I though? I was like,
Well, you
like I
did,
didn't.
but not in a way that
I-
was helpful.
I
like
did.
that was creating these patterns of being in
Yes.
life. Yeah.
Yes. Because like, for example, I'm a really big hugger now. And I was not a hugger as like a kid
Mm.
because of like self-soothing. I wanted everyone to get the fuck away from me. That's like what I learned. I just wanted to be in my room by myself. And like my mom will try to like hug me. I'll be like, no,
Yeah.
you know, like, so it's little stuff like that.
What's the? You're like. No.
Like, don't touch me. Like, I've got this. Like, I can figure it out myself.
I've got
kind of
this.
vibe. Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has that continued too?
Oh yeah. I'm like super hyper independent. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. It's not,
Do you like being that independent?
yes and no.
Okay.
Until what in the world just happened?
Oh.
Oh yeah. Like, you know that.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, yeah. I was like, where am I right now?
Welcome to my home.
Do you like being that independent?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, I'm getting embarrassed. I don't know why. Okay, you were saying,
I don't remember.
do you like
Just like that just fucking
See,
threw
I'm
me
bad
off.
at that.
I'm bad at it too.
I'm making y'all need to remember.
Yeah.
what I
you
said.
were asking Allie, does she like being that independent?
Oh yeah. And what'd you say?
It's good in some ways. In a lot of ways, it's not. When I'm sick, I'm like, God, why have I ostracized everyone? I can't do
Damn.
anything. I'm like, damn, I need some fucking help. But I don't know any different, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
it is a quality I like about myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. It's not that it's bad to be independent, but it's almost. This is something I've had to, it's what I was taught of like, don't depend on anybody else. You can only depend on yourself, kind of a thing. And I think I had to get to a place where it was like, knowing I can do it is good for me, but I don't want that all the time.
Yeah.
Like I had to learn to let people help.
Yeah.
For that to feel okay and good.
I
and
do
even
not like to
deserving.
ask for help. Yeah.
Yeah, because what does that feel for you when you ask for help? What does that feel like? What's
Just-
the message
I
internally?
feel like I should know already.
Aw.
Like everything. And I don't know. I don't know where that comes from. Like, I just even started a new job, and like after a week, I was like, oh, I can't ask him. I should know this by now.
Well,
He was
when
like,
you were
"Can you
little, did you
please?"
have to know everything?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like you said, you didn't know any different.
yeah. That's
That's hard.
just yeah. I feel like I just keep agreeing. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly why.
It's so weird when like in therapy when people, I mean, like therapists will like bring up, well, oh, your child self, and you're like, oh fuck, yeah.
You're like, yeah, yeah, and
that's it.
I think it's bad when I get really frustrated when someone can't figure something out themselves too. Like, I'm like, that's when it's a problem, because I like have an attitude about it. I'm like, figure it the fuck out, like I had to, kind of vibe. That's when it's like a little toxic.
Yeah.
And I don't like that part.
Yeah.
I need to like chill sometimes about that. But yeah.
Have you ever had a moment when you did rely on someone, like you let your guard down, or you
Never.
never?
Yeah.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh. Can you talk about it?
God. I mean, I trust like my family, not all of them.
Question mark.
I was like, who else does that include? I was like, wait, there's only like 2 of them. That's included in that sentence. So, like I trust my sister with like anything, for guidance and, well, now I do. She used to steal from me. But
That's hilarious. My sister used to steal from me too.
really?
Yeah.
Like
She was a drug addict.
My sister's a drug addict.
Yeah.
So my sister pawned my like baby ring
Damn.
for drug money. And I'm always like, I hope that was a good fucking high.
I was about to say, how much did it go for?
I don't know. That's what I'm always wondering. I'm like, what drug did you get with that, babe? Like,
A ring that only fits a baby. How much money can you get for that?
Right? No, she bought me real gold hoops for Christmas. And she was like, are we even? And I was like,
Not emotionally.
not emotionally. No. Yeah. Yeah.
How did you like, if your sister, how did you guys mend that relationship to where she's one that you can open up to?
Man, that's pretty crazy, because actually like it got to such a bad point. It was at my grandma's funeral, and we were in the procession line, and she was like, hey, cover me, and went to snort something.
Damn.
And I was like, and she drove me, and it was like, I almost died like a couple times. And I was like, I'm like actually worried about her. Like before it was like, it wasn't like cute and fun, but like, I'd be like, yeah, my sister's a drug addict. 'Cause I was young, I'd be like, whatever. I'm like 16, but it started to scare me. And I finally like told my mom like, hey, like it's bad. And my mom had like an intervention. And my sister stopped talking to me for an entire year.
Oh shit.
For an entire year, we didn't talk. And my sister had cut my mom off a couple times. But we always stayed in contact, right? But one night I got like a really weird feeling that I should reach out to her. And I did. And we like kind of reconnected. We had plans to see each other the next day. And the next morning, her husband had decided to leave her through text.
Wow.
So like that, it weirds me out, because like that connection between us is just like so strong that like that was kind of like an opening for her to come back into our family.
Oh,
like
wow.
I had like opened that when she needed us. They were together like 10 years, and he left her through text message. So like traumatizing. Yeah. So and it was weird, because like she had gone to do stuff at like 14 when I was 14, and I was 24 at the time. So like my whole adult life, like she hadn't met me as an adult yet. And it was weird like meeting each other like as like adult women. And I mean, it was the best thing that ever happened to her. She was kind of over drugs at that point anyway. That's kind of why he left her.
Oh wow.
So he could keep
Doing
stuff. So she was kind of going on a different path anyway. Like she never got any help or anything. She just quit like cold turkey, quit smoking, quit everything overnight.
Wow.
Wild, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for her.
Yeah. Like that's strong. Like I'm like, damn, like literally like smoking, vaping, drugs, alcohol. She really doesn't do anything anymore. She's like the worst at like restaurants. She's like, they're smoking near children. I'm like, bitch, I have asthma. You smoked with me in the car for
You
like
stole my baby ring.
10 years. And I'd be like, not able to breathe. And she'd be like, roll down the window, Allie, you're fine.
Damn, did we have the same sister?
I feel like
this
we
is
did.
crazy.
I feel like we did.
Same Z's.
Yeah.
That's wild. Oh my God, let me adjust. Okay. Okay. How do I want to phrase this question? So we haven't known each other long, but in these like past couple of days, when we've seen each other most, I've just seen such a vulnerability. Like the other night, you opened up about like your dad and like all this like really hard trauma that you talk about on stage too.
Yeah. A little light, but yeah.
Yeah,
Like a light version of it. LITE.
yeah.
Trauma.
Like you want people to laugh when you're on stage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not like, you don't want to bring the vibe down.
Yeah. But so when we first met, just full honesty, I felt like there was kind of like a block.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to explain it. Like I felt like you were on guard a little bit and then you opened up.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
am I speaking just from my perspective? Or
I
what
don't know.
both
know.
maybe?
Maybe both. I'm always just like a little sus when I meet people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
not like super open
Okay.
at first.
Okay.
Yeah. But then
Is
like
it that get away?
probably.
Leave me alone. Get
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. And I try to like break past it a little bit.
Yeah. It didn't take long.
No.
You
Yeah.
know,
Because when I meet someone, typically, I like to think about how they made me feel afterwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like first impressions, I'm really good at them. Not me personally, I probably make a terrible first impression, but like when I meet people, I can kind of know if I like them or not.
Mm-hmm.
You're good at reading their energy.
Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm always right. Even when I try to convince myself, I'm like, like they've done this, and this, like that's probably why they're like that. And like I'm always right in the end. I'm like, fuck, I just need to listen to myself. Like the past year I've been like, Allie, you're literally always right if you like someone or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, oh my gosh, that's so, I'm currently working on listening to my inner, like, trusting myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's really impressive that you trust yourself.
Yeah.
That's freaking dope.
Yeah.
Can I ask a curious question?
Absolutely.
I think sometimes, people call themselves like empaths a lot.
Yeah.
And not that you're not, that those people aren't. Sorry. But I think sometimes when we can read each other's, like people's energy so much, I think it's from a very young age, you had to read the room very quickly. You really you weren't able to be present
I feel
with
like I'm
yourself
being read right now. Yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't pay attention too much to
Yes.
yourself. You had to know
Yes.
for safety reasons, for whether that's emotional, physical, whatever. You had to constantly be aware of people's moods and that, to where that creates, I think, an empath or someone that's very intuitive, or you're like, I'm very sensitive to people's energy around me. Not because I have some magical gift, but as a child, that was a survival skill I had to learn. And then the work was to try to start reading my own and seeing how I'm experiencing that, which is what I think you're working on right now. Is like how to trust what you're experiencing.
1,000%, and not all external. Like, what do you think we should do? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Freaking out. Because I grew up like that too. Like I had to assess the situation, make sure it was safe.
Yeah.
Like you say that and I'm like, what? Not everyone does that. What's the opposite?
I'm like, the garage door doesn't trigger everyone. That like your mom's home, you don't know what kind of day you're gonna have. Where you're like, you start sweating, you have to look busy. I'm like, I can't look like I'm relaxed because that bitch is gonna be mad at me.
I'm like laughing but crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Look,
Wow.
Mom, I did someone. Yeah. Oh,
Did your mom have like
absolutely.
anger issues? Just curious.
Yes. So my mom had a lot of her own trauma, and I was in therapy as a kid, right? a couple of times for different reasons we can talk about in a minute, but like but like, so I was kind of aware of things more than a kid would. Like I knew how to like put it in like therapy terms. So when I learned about my mom's trauma, she suffered, like her dad was like sexually abusive, emotionally abusive, physically abusive. And I remember thinking when she told us those stories, like, oh, so she broke some patterns, but she couldn't break that emotional part. She's still like very dysregulated in her emotions. And I was really little thinking that. And I think about that a lot because I'm like, damn, I was really intuitive or traumatized as a kid. But like, I mean, I was in therapy, so like I could kind of put words to it in my own head.
Did you only go to therapy when shit hit the fan, so to speak? Like when there was like some big thing happened and then you went?
Yes.
Okay.
For like 2 separate instances.
Yeah. I think what happens there, because as you're kind of telling me that, and again, I don't know your story, so I don't want to make too much generalization here, but it's going to therapy only when something bad happened to deal with someone else's thing. It's still about them and not you.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And then when mom at a young age, you were so aware of mom's trauma. It was about trying to understand mom. You're trying to understand why you weren't getting your needs met.
Yeah.
And I hear so much where they're like, well, they did the best they could. I'm like, it still doesn't mean that you got what you needed.
Absolutely.
Like both can be true. But I would say even in those instances, it's like it was still on about someone else's stuff going on. Yeah.
Yeah. We went to therapy too, like when my dad was in a car accident when I think I was 2 years old, and he was not wearing a seatbelt. He ran into a telephone pole and he hit his head on the steering wheel. So he has frontal lobe brain damage. So he's very like non-emotional. He's very monotone, very, I was going to say strange, but that's not the best term. Just like there's just a barrier, right? Yeah. Like he just physically can't be there for you like that. So they stayed together for like 3 years through that. And it just got to a point where she couldn't do it anymore. And he did a lot of like crazy stuff with us and she was scared. So when they got divorced, he started stalking us and stuff. Like, I think that's where some of my OCD issues come in because the sound of a truck, I look out my blinds a lot.
Oh, babe.
Yeah.
I used to break them as a kid. And my mom used to yell at me. They were like plastic blinds that I would look at when I heard a truck because I thought my dad was driving by. Yeah. And I was terrified. He would also leave like candy, but it was nothing good. It was only shit my mom liked. So like I'd be like, I don't like black licorice. Dad, and it'd be like, for my girls. I'm like, bitch, we don't eat that. You know that's for my mom. Like, at least throw us something in there if you're gonna stalk us. Jesus Christ. It's true. It's true. But I don't know where I was in my story, but yeah, he would like. I really do think that, and I told my mom that the other day. I said I think that's like OCD, and she was like, "Yeah, but you had a reason," and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's still there. Like that's why it's there." And she was like, "Well, I mean, he was scary." I was like, "I know. Yeah, I was there too."
What are you like? I feel what you're saying. Is there like something you're wanting your mom to say when you're like, like when she's like, oh, you self-soothe, or you're like, bro, I like broke the blinds. Like, is there, and she's just like, yeah. Are you like, I want you to say this.
Yeah.
Or do this.
I feel like she never acknowledges our trauma as much. Like I'll send her like stuff about childhood trauma and she's like, yeah, that speaks to me as a kid. And I'm like, yeah, and you passed that to me. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's generational. Like, you never dealt with it, and now I am. So, yeah. Yeah. I wish she would acknowledge it like a little bit more. Like,
that's so hard.
Yeah. I don't know even how to get through to her about stuff like that. Because we talk about a lot of stuff, and like, we're not like, me and my sister will go kind of hard on her about stuff. For example, like my grandpa was a pedophile.
Okay.
So I literally have a joke about it on stage. So
Wow.
it's a little rough, but
It was her dad?
it was her dad.
Okay.
And she allowed us to be babysat by him,
Damn.
Knowing that?
knowing that.
Yeah.
But my sister was like, we were like, why would you let him be alone with us? And she was like, well, my mom was there. We were like, your mom was the one who let the sexual abuse happen in the house. Like, she knew about it when you were younger. And my mom had never even thought about it. It was so like normalized in her house. That she just kind of let that slide, and she didn't even realize that. She was like, yeah, knowing that now, I would never do that. So we have like really hard conversations. Like, we'll bring stuff up to her, but it's just, I'm just chipping away at it slowly. I can't come at her with everything.
Yeah.
All the time.
Is she able to take responsibility for some of those things
For
once
those,
you bring them up?
Yes.
That's good.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Other times she'll, be like, I was the best I could. Like,
Yeah.
you were fine. Yeah. Sorry your childhood was so bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. I'm glad you try to have those conversations.
Yeah.
Is it helpful whether she is able to apologize or take responsibility or not?
Yeah. Yeah. Just bringing it up to her. Because sometimes, like, after the initial shock of, her feeling, like, defensive, I feel like sometimes that wears off and we're able to, like, talk about it a little bit more at, like, a calmer pace. Because sometimes I'll bring something up and she'll just, like, immediately, it depends on her mood still, if I bring something up or not. But yeah. I don't know what else.
You guys are close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was raised by a single mom. It's just another kind of bonding. Like, my grandpa died at the same time my parents got divorced too. So my mom and grandma really, like, held in on each other. And I was raised by only females. That's why I'm really uncomfortable with men. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Just because I was around literally no men in my life.
Yeah.
I'm almost scared to get into this. How do you feel about men in your life right now?
Good way to word that.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard because I come from such a strong matriarch, right? Like, my mom is head bitch in charge of everything. And I'm at a point right now, I'm just too busy to, like, really care about men, honestly.
I like that.
I literally am. And I feel like my frontal lobe is too developed now to, like, fall for male tricks anymore. I'm just like, I'm not falling for it anymore. Like, I get hit on a lot in comedy because I'm new, but I'm like, babe, I've been around the block. I'm 30. I'm not a 22-year-old. Like, you're not going to get very far with me.
You're like, wow, something about this light at the open mic is just, like, turning me on to you right now. Not.
How about, no. I like when people, I've been hit up in my DMs, and I've been the only girl at, like, a mic, and someone's hit me up later, and they're like, have I seen you before? I'm like, you were literally staring at me like I'm 5'8", and I was the only female there. Like, I know you saw me. like the palest person. Like, I'm very noticeable. You would fucking see me, dude. Like, I think I saw you somewhere. That's so crazy.
You're like, nah, bro, stop.
I'm like, nah, that wasn't me.
Did you, like, I know you had a lot of stuff with your dad go down. You mentioned some of it.
Yeah.
But, like, did that affect you heavy with men? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because my dad disappeared for a couple of years, too, after they got divorced. Like, he would be very sporadic in our life and do, like, crazy shit, like, drop stuff off, or once a year he would show up with his parents and, like, pretend like he saw us a lot. And his parents were kind of delusional too. Like, they literally asked us, like, can you pretend you see your dad a lot for, like, the family event, because, like, we want people to think he's a good dad. And my mom was like, yeah, my mom was like, I'm not having my kids like pretend they see him. And I think that's why I'm so like over the top honest about stuff.
Nice. That's good.
Yeah. But so like he didn't really come around again until he started dating, and he was, you know, getting women by saying how good of a dad he was. And they'd be like, well, where are your kids eventually? And he was like, I'm fighting for custody of them. And that's when like he like went to court. Oh wow. Actually, backtrack. My dad got married without telling us. And he was trying to get back with my mom at one point because he still wanted to be with her. And she was like, we're not getting back together. And I remember hearing downstairs, my dad said, whatever, I got married a month ago anyway, and slammed the door. And that's how I found out. Mature. That's how I found out I had a stepmom.
Wow.
And the next time I saw my dad, I had a stepmom, and she was there.
Wow.
Yeah. It was really fun.
It was really fun.
Yeah. And she wasn't any better. Like, the first time we met, she was like flaunting her ring. Like, we were in the back seat, and she was like playing with his hair and looking back at us. And I was like, ew, bitch, I'm his kid. Like, I don't want to fuck him. Like, calm down.
Oh, no.
How old were you?
I was like 8. Yeah. My sister was like 11. We were young.
Yeah.
Are they still together?
That was fun. They're still together.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been together a long time.
Wow.
That's a lot of
fucked
up stuff.
Relationship with your dad like now? I
don't speak to him. I haven't talked to him in about 5 years. We just, I always knew, even as a kid, when his parents died, he wouldn't care about seeing us anymore.
Oh, wow.
Like, he would just he would like give up that facade, right? Of being like a good dad. Even though they obviously knew he wasn't. I don't know why he even pretended, but like, if they're asking us like, hey, can you role play as close with your dad for this family trip? You know, it was fucked up. But it got to the point where we were like, if they don't want to be here, we don't want to be here. Why are we still here?
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? And it's just, he would do stuff to like act like he was interested, like invite me day of at like 2 p.m. for Thanksgiving.
Damn.
I'd be like, you think I'm just sitting around like waiting for your fucking invite? Like, it's just not genuine. Like, he didn't want us to come. He didn't want us there, but he wanted to be like, oh, I asked my girls and they couldn't come. Kind of vibe. And I have 2 little nieces, and that kind of like made us really cut them off, because why would we put them through the same things we went through, right? Like that half kind of love. Not even half, like none at all.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Was he like this before the accident?
I don't really know. I was 2 when it happened. I've never known him any different.
Yeah.
Which is, it's hard because my whole life I was like, okay, he does this because of his brain damage. He can't connect. But then we, as adults, we see him doing so much for other people and realize that he actually is capable, and it's a choice.
Damn.
And that kind of hit us.
I'm curious if you perceive like him doing things for other people, is that just a manipulation? Because it seems like, as you were talking, I was like, well, she learned manipulation. Like, men, that's how they, like, if that's your first relationship with the man is your dad.
Yeah.
And that's how you experienced, that's all you knew, was like, he like, it's fake one way in order to get, like, you see him, his behaviors and even offerings of, like, love or attempts, you see that it's a manipulation thing he's doing. Like, it makes me question or wonder, like, how much is that influencing how you think about men today, and why you're just not interested in that? And that would make a lot of sense. But just curious if you've connected that in any way. But yeah, seeing, you know, you're having an intuitive thing of like protecting your nieces from that. And that sort of, like you said, that doesn't feel like love.
No.
But you see these things that what you're perceiving he's capable of is just maybe just his way to manipulate
it could be like his whole neighborhood thinks of him as like the one to go to, the one to help anyone out.
Wow.
They're like, he's like always there to talk. I'm like, who is this person you're talking about? Like, literally, because, you know, I would tell everyone, like, my dad's just not capable of like that kind of emotional connection, and I have to be okay with that. And then you see him like with everyone else, and with like my stepmom's son, he's closer with too.
Is it his son too?
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I think the biggest betrayal as a kid was when they took him to Disney and left me and my sister at home.
Damn.
I was like,
Wow.
yeah. He just did, like, I was telling someone the other day, I didn't even know this bothered me. It should, like, if you hear the story, but like, I would go to church with my dad, stepmom, and stepbrother. And this was when my sister went to college. And they would drop me off at like a back entrance. It was like a mega church to be by myself. And then they would go like in the front as a family, go through church, sit in the congregation.
And you couldn't sit with them?
No, tell me to do my own kind of thing.
What?
And it was a mega church, so I went to Starbucks, and I would talk to like grown men on the internet who were probably trying to groom me.
We are the same.
Wow. Do we want to talk about that?
You're like,
well, not the first part, but online boyfriends. I had a lot of those. Yeah.
yes.
Do you want to talk about what?
Boy, y'all just brought up.
She's like sweating.
Talking to old men being groomed.
Did not everyone do that?
No.
That's interesting.
That's interesting.
Huh.
I
Okay.
didn't have the internet growing up.
Oh, well, that's why you didn't have online
Okay.
boyfriends.
Yeah, I literally, like, the other day I was like,
I mean, it's so accessible for us, I feel like.
I killed it on the internet as a 14-year-old.
Oh my
I've never been
God.
more popular with them then, which is not great.
I have okay, I know you're so funny,
Yes.
and I
I
know
said yes. Like,
well, you
yes.
are, you know. And I know you're coming from a little bit of truth with I killed it on the internet.
Too much, but yes.
But does that sometimes, like, for me, I'll speak personally, like, I used to have jokes about having online boyfriends. I had a joke. But when I really sit and think about it, I feel so bad for myself because, like,
Yeah.
I don't, okay, oh, this is hard, but, like, I don't know if there's, like, pictures of me out there or videos or who those people
Yeah.
were, you know? And, like, how do you feel about it?
So what's funny is the other night when I was on a show with you, I forgot to do one of my jokes about someone sending me my own nude on
Shut
Instagram.
the fuck up.
It was the only joke I forgot.
Oh.
Because one time I got an anonymous message from someone, and it
My
was
worst fear.
and
Oh my
and it
God.
was a picture of me in the mirror, and I was naked, and it was like, have you seen this? And like the punchline is like, you know, I took that picture, right? Like, yeah, I've seen that picture. And I literally wrote that. I was like, you know, I took that picture, right?
Who was this person?
It's anonymous. I don't know. And like they had taken pictures from my Instagram and made like a slideshow of it, and one of them was nude. I don't know how they got it, but that dog's like, you need help.
Darcy's just like, hey,
They're both
hey,
like-
yeah.
They're both
They're like, we're listening to her,
"Aw,
and
it's
she
okay."
fucking is
Oh.
on it right now. But they made like a whole slideshow of like half my Instagram and then the one nude, and I was like,
Wow.
so you're a fan?
Okay, you're making jokes, but is
I know
that
I'm
really how
making
you felt?
jokes, but it like sent me into a spiral. Yeah.
Well, that's what
I was like,
I'm sitting over here, and this is hard
yeah.
to listen to and to see all the laughing happening.
I'm very sorry. It's because I
Like,
don't know what else to
No,
do.
no, I totally get it, and that's part of the premise of like
Yeah.
why we are having these kind of conversations on this podcast is because that is a very common thing for everybody, but especially comedians, and we
Yeah.
don't give enough space for what's really behind
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
As a therapist, I work with trauma, and so I hear this stuff all the time, and it's very hard I can't laugh along with
Yeah.
when that
Yeah.
happens, because it feels like I'm agreeing with that
Yeah.
it's funny, or that we're trying to downplay it or discount it, or that we're uncomfortable, and it's so. I just want to offer
Yeah.
You're like,
offer the space.
I think it's just like
it's
I mean, before I started working with trauma, I didn't know, and still learning what it feels like to sit with something.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's, I would say it's like discounting it. Maybe it is.
Well, I think
but-
there's a part of like when you laugh, like you say something
Yeah.
and you laugh, like you said, it's because you're like, it's uncomfortable. You don't know what to do with it. And so it is a part that's
Yeah.
discounting the pain because it's like,
Sure,
I don't
yeah.
either don't know
But I
how
was-
or the sit in the space for it.
My
You know.
my mom kind of copes like that too. Like the
Mhm.
minute her dad died, she made like a joke, or
Yeah.
like when her mom died, like immediately a joke. So that's just
Mm-hmm.
it's not even like trauma really. Like I was literally taught to deal with stuff like
Yeah.
that. It's very deeply ingrained in me. Because when that DM happened, I was like, oh fuck, how did I get this? And then I was like, damn, that's gonna make a really good joke. It's gonna kill some.
But you
people.
said you spiraled.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I had like a full meltdown. Yeah, I was like crying. It's violating.
And freaking,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
And you don't know who
I-
it is.
Exactly. And like I feel like especially with like me, I do a lot of boudoir and stuff. I love like very comfortable, like half nude, but I feel like when you're kind of like that and you're really open, kind of like we are about like in stand up and stuff, like I'm really open about my dating life, people kind of think that you're cool with like anything.
Yeah.
And I'm only cool with what I share, right?
Yeah.
I'm kind of like not a control freak in that way, but I'm in control of my narrative. You're not. I'm in control of what I put
Absolutely, yeah.
out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that taken away from me.
Yeah. Very violating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Made me mad.
How did you process it? Like once you like kind of were like, how'd you move on from that?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, well, I'm sure there's plenty more.
Mhm.
Like there's
How
nothing
do
I
you-
can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I used to like panic and when I thought about it and be like, it used to like almost rob me of my dream because I was like, I can't be famous
Mm.
because I had those boyfriends.
Yeah.
And I had like, I'm sure there were pictures taken or screenshots or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't be famous because those will come out and I'll get, I'll get shit for it. But
But
at this point, I'm like, if
feel
those
like-
came out, I'd be like,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
And they were the pervs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was 14.
And like
Mhm.
my whole joke is like, as a millennial, you don't know how many, you have to be okay with knowing there's nudes out of you. Which it's for some people, and some people are like, I've never taken nudes. Or but
no.
no. But I feel like our generation, like, it's so much more common now that it's like I literally saw a tweet that was like, when are we going to get to a point where like having nudes and stuff like that is like commonplace? Like there's going to be politicians like that, you know, eventually people are going to go into all these different venues and like avenues and like careers, and
Sure.
those are going to follow them no matter what. So like it's not as big of a deal as it was like in the early 2000s when it was like sex tape central and stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if I ever, I'm like, yeah, that, you know, it's normal
Yeah.
part of life people experience.
Those are my
Yeah.
nipples.
Yeah.
They're there.
Yeah.
Have at
I
it.
agree with that.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
if we were all judged for what we did when we were 14,
Man.
I mean, I'm lucky I was 14 when there weren't phones.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you weren't documenting every mistake. you
I-
made, you know.
Mhm.
I think that's where a lot of my hatred from, not hatred, that's a little extreme, is it? But of men comes from,
Mhm.
because like I was preyed on. I think of how much attention I got as like a 12, 13, 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I look way better now, right? Because I was really an unattractive kid for a while, but I had huge boobs and I was very fetishized as a kid.
Mhm.
I was very like, I just got hit on all the time. Like I just got so much male validation back then.
Well, that's what I was. Yeah, at that, like, doesn't that felt good at the time of like I'm getting attention that felt
Yes,
positive
by
or
grown
yeah.
Mhm.
men.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was like, this is fucking great. Like I'm killing it. But like now I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not okay. Like I had
Yeah.
a 23-year-old tried to date me when I was 14.
Mm.
And I don't even date someone 1 year younger than me.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, that's a baby.
Right. Yeah.
It's a baby. Yeah. And I used to think, because I just like had big boobs, that they didn't know how old I was. And I look at pictures and I'm like, they knew. That
Mhm.
looked like
Yeah.
a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I
Mm.
think that bothered. I think about that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and how much I was preyed on the internet.
How does that, what, like, because I know what feeling comes up for me. I'm currently in therapy working on my disdain for men, and it's deep and it's
Yes.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I know what feeling comes up for me when I think about those men, or like someone who would come and like be like, "Oh, I have these nudes" or whatever.
Yeah.
What feeling comes up for you when you think about those men that preyed on you?
A lot of anger.
Yeah.
It used to be more like shame based. Like it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
And I got like severely bullied by like grown women, specifically in the church and like church camps and stuff for like them acting like I was seeking attention from all these grown men or like their husband or something. I had a church leader. I was in the same one piece as everyone else at church camp, and she made me put on a t-shirt because her husband was staring at me, and she put that on me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was my fault for so long. So it was very, very shame based back then until I got older, and I was like, wait a minute, like I was the child then.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were the fucked up ones. So I have a lot of anger about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
And you feel that affects your relationship with men today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because I was so used to being like fetishized by men as a kid that I still kind of feel that. Me and someone were talking about that the other day. We were like, I feel like we're two different types of a fetish when we're together, and I was like, it makes me so uncomfortable.
Wait, what do you mean?
Like, I feel like having super big boobs makes me a little bit of a fetish, right? Where people will like, that's just all they focus on. I don't know how else to explain that. Because of my church camp trauma, like I literally had like probably like 10 female leaders tell me like I should be like ashamed, or like I should cover up more, or like, and I literally like I couldn't help it. Like clothes were just, I just looked a certain way.
Yeah. And so when men approach you now, do you kind of feel that it's attached to that, where you're like, fuck off, perv?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't want the attention, but I'm also scared not to have it. Does that make sense?
Oh, girl.
Because I've always wanted like a breast reduction, but I'm scared like that'll change. I'll get like no attention.
Can I have another curious question?
Absolutely.
Well, no, because you're talking about there a lot of shame, like some of the messaging was to have shame around your body.
Yeah.
But then you mentioned that you do the boudoir stuff.
Yes.
Do you feel like you seem like someone that's like you notice something and you're just going to push into it?
Yeah.
Is that a way that you kind of push into the maybe the shame that was?
Why are you reading me like this?
Everyone says that. Because I love it.
I'm like, damn, she's good.
Damn, does she have like a degree in this or something? And I love this because I've never talked to a female therapist before. I always had men as a kid, which I think why it didn't go well, because I didn't trust men, and I was like a little kid, like, I'm not fucking talking to you. But boudoir and stuff like that is like, it's on my terms, and I feel like in some ways it's me taking ownership of that image that was perceived on me and like pushed on me, taking it to myself for myself.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very liberating. I would imagine.
Absolutely. Because I'm doing it for me, not to be like, I don't know how else to explain it.
For the attention.
It's just for like the magic of it. I run a lot of those shoots with my friend too, and having women come in and see themselves in that light and stuff. Usually they like come in really nervous, and to see them, like I cry every shoot we do and stuff. And I dance around in lingerie the whole day, and it's just like the most magical day ever.
That's so cool.
I love doing those. Yeah.
Amber, we should do a shoot.
I would love that.
My friend
podcast
is amazing.
I'm joking. No.
How does that make you feel?
I text my friend.
This lighting, I mean, it's kind of pointy.
Posted my show dates with a picture of me in the shower, topless. I was like, is this too much? But I get like an image in my mind, and I was like, I want to picture me in this pink bathroom squeezing 2 loofahs with soap. And my friend was like, okay. And that's literally, I captioned it like, I might be clean here, but my comedy is not. Come see me in a show.
I love that.
What I wrote.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
What do you think like 14-year-old you would think about, like, what do you think she would say and feel about you doing these boudoir shoots? I love it so much.
Dude, she would be floored. I used to I used to have so many, I still have body image issues, but I had so many issues. Like if I saw a picture of myself, I would immediately cry.
Damn.
I would have like a full meltdown. If
When
anyone
you were
took
little.
up till probably about 26,
Okay.
I would like go into like a full sweat and panic, and yeah, I just had a ton of body image issues. And I just started realizing that like literally no one cares. Like they're like, everyone's worried about themselves. Right?
Yeah.
I did like a social experiment with myself one time where I wore a crop top to Target, and I was like, wow, actually no one cares about me, and I'm not the center of the world, and no one cares that I'm in a crop top. Like,
which is devastating in itself.
I was like, I feel like y'all are wrong, but whatever. I guess it's liberating to not be the center of the world.
How did you, is like up till 26 and you're 30, that's recent. How did you shift?
Pretty recent. It was just a mindset change. I don't know. Like I went from literally sobbing when someone took a picture of me to I'll put my full phone tripod in the middle of my apartment pool and take sexy pictures in the pool. And
That's
I'll be
amazing.
like, hi, how are you? I'm doing exactly what you think I'm doing. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like something just shifted. I just stopped caring one day. Like I said, that quote, I'm not afraid to be seen trying. Like I always wanted to do boudoir. I wanted to say I want to take slutty pictures of myself, but I just love like burlesque and like stuff like that and kind of that aesthetic. So like I just started doing it, and I was like, holy shit, like I can actually just fucking do anything.
You felt that like
I just realized
confidence.
that I can do anything I want.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good feeling.
Like, yeah, I was like, holy shit, I can actually change anything in my life, like the trajectory of my whole life.
I love that.
And I'm like still like, I literally just got a job a month ago, like a new job, because I was like, I was somewhere for 10 years miserable, which is crazy as like a 20-year-old to a 30-year-old. Like I grew up at that job.
Yeah.
And I hated it, and I was just finally like, I can literally just fucking change it. Like why am I crying before work when I don't have to?
That's so dope. I love to hear
Good
that
for you.
evolution.
Yeah.
But it sometimes is just a mindset shift.
Yeah.
Like, it's so like
I feel like it just happened overnight. I wish I had a good answer for it.
that is a
because-
good answer.
Okay.
I think a lot of times we, as humans, we're looking for like the recipe. What do we have to struggle? We have to go through to get a result, and sometimes it can be that simple because that's what kept you stuck was a certain mindset.
Yeah.
And when we can shift that, the belief that you can do anything, huge.
Incredibly stuck. I literally think I went back to school and I took a math class.
Why?
And I passed it.
Oh
and I
my
was like,
God.
I took statistics after 9 years of no math. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I could do anything.
After statistics.
Why did
After
you take a
statistics-
math class?
Because I have to. I avoided all math early in my college days.
Oh, you had to graduate. I thought you were just like, I'm
For
going to do
fun?
math.
I'm going to do
like,
math for fun. No, I needed it for my degree. But when
Oh,
I
okay.
passed it, I was like, I'm
thought the same
pretty
thing.
sure I can accomplish anything.
that's so amazing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that.
My little 14-year-old self and my present self is talking to your 14-year-old self and just being like, wait,
We fucking did it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally get emotional when I see like pictures of little me. Especially with like the body stuff, because I was a really skinny kid and I wouldn't wear spaghetti straps because I thought my arms were fat. There's like a home video of me when I was like 3 asking if I looked fat in something.
Oh, at 3?
And my mom would always
Wow.
be like, oh, that's so funny, that's so cute, you're mocking me. I'm like, that's crazy that I had that question in my mind.
Yeah.
At 3.
And I had that like, yeah.
Right. And your mom said it was funny because you were mocking her.
Yeah.
So you learned a lot from her around the body shaming.
Absolutely. My mom is 6 foot tall and her mom was 5'2". So I think that's where a lot of her body image issues come from, that she pushed on to me and my sister. She didn't want us, she perceived herself as like the fat kid, but she was just tall. And she did not want us to be like that. Like for prom, my mom was like, you probably shouldn't eat that much before we go shopping. I don't want to hear you cry about it. And like that I'll bring up to her and she'll be like, well, you looked good, didn't you? I'll be like, okay. Okay. That's still like super, the body stuff with my mom is still like not good. I can handle any comment from anyone else, but if she says like the slightest thing about my body, I'm like immediately tear up.
All the mamas out there listening, you can tell your kid they're lovely, their body, you can, they should love their bodies, but if they see and hear you judging your own, that is what they will pick up on.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're going to have moms that are just not aware, and they're going to say things like that are very direct, of like, you don't need to eat that because
food.
Of
at all.
But even I've just seen where moms with the good intentions, they want to try to instill something different than how they feel about themselves, but when they are judging themselves in the mirror, or they don't let themselves eat,
I think it's neutrality.
like it is.
My mom would never let pictures be taken of her either. And I think that got in my head for a while.
You learn to be ashamed to cover yourself
my
up.
mom hates my boudoir shoots, but she says she likes that I'm so confident. I'm like, well, it took a lot of work.
She's
to
like,
get
I
there.
want to be that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, you could have, but you didn't. But like, it's her own issues, and she put that on me, and I think that was in my head for so long that I hate pictures too. Like my mom, I don't want to be seen. I'm not pretty. Like she would say that stuff about herself.
Yeah, kids are like sponges. Like they're and you're learning from your parents. At every moment.
Yeah,
right? And everything else that's shooting information.
That's why
at
parenting
you.
is such a scary concept right now. I'm literally working so hard on myself. I can't imagine if someone was behind me taking notes and being like, okay, this is how I do this.
Literally though. No. Even being an aunt, I'm like, oh shit. Like, why did I say that in front of her?
Well, see, as an aunt, I always feel like I'm right. I'm like, come over here. Let me teach you.
Yes.
Something. My sister's like, why is he dressed in rainbow flags?
Like,
like, he's gonna be gay. And she's like, no, he's not. No.
You're like, yes.
I have a question that you might not even be thinking, but I'm just curious from a therapy point of view. Like, you running into these things with your mom that she's not, I don't know if healing's the right word, but she's not like meeting Allie. She's not meeting you in like a place with that. How do you move forward? Because I just feel like, I don't know, that would bother me so much. It would be something that would like hang on me so much.
Yeah.
How do you like, I don't know.
What's the question? Sorry. How do you...
That was the question.
How do you, or maybe I should ask you, like...
I don't know, man. I'm not a therapist.
No, but it's your experience.
Yeah.
Like, you're still close.
When mom won't meet you there.
Yeah, how do you
move?
heal from that? How do you heal that pain?
I think the answer is I don't.
No, that is not the answer.
I think that's where we're at right now. It's just
I don't think you don't need her to validate your experiences for you. They happened and you can heal from them. Whether she agrees or says yes, that happened, or no, it didn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's still your process to have.
But don't you want that validation a little bit?
I feel like it helps to have a sibling though, where we're like, this bitch was off her fucking rocker.
I think some of it is kind of knowing and understanding what's your mom capable of. Like, if you know it's not the validation that she can give, then don't keep going there. That deepens it. That deepens the wound. If you keep trying to get the validation from mom and you just know that's not where she is and what she's capable of offering, doesn't mean you can't heal. And so it's kind of knowing what's the safety in that, and what can you expect to get. It sounds like there's some openness.
Yes.
If we were in therapy, I would maybe make some suggestions around, like, because you mentioned earlier, like, you're not sure what her response is going to be or what mood she's in when you try to bring some of this stuff up. And you can be a little like intentional around having some conversations for that, like setting it up, asking for, can we have a conversation? This stuff feels something I'm working through and is important to me. And so you might get a little bit of a different response if you are kind of saying, for me, I want to be able to ask some questions.
Yeah.
Or if she has a response and it feels very invalidating, knowing if you think she's capable of hearing, hey, when you say that, it really invalidates my experience and feelings around that. What I need is, I need you to understand my experience at least, or to just hear my experience and say, I'm sorry. Sometimes we really have to give it to them. Like, I just need you to listen. If you're going to respond, I just want you to say, I'm so sorry that sucked, or I'm sorry that happened. And you might preface it with like, I'm not trying to blame you around anything, but I need this to be heard.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe I come at it a little aggressive too, because I feel like I'm like, this is the shit you did.
Yeah.
And it might,
that makes sense.
It might not be taken as well as it could, honestly.
Well, we're human.
Yeah.
Right? Seems like you've had years of operating in a certain way in relationship with each other. So to try to just switch it might be hard. You know?
Yeah. I don't really like confrontation. It sends my anxiety like skyrocket. Like I feel like my nervous system is so dysregulated. Like the littlest thing can like set me into like a spiral that's not even a big deal. Which I don't suffer from that much anxiety anymore, except around like confrontation. I used to have like a lot of anxiety as a kid, which is weird. Not really, but
is it weird? Yeah.
Makes sense.
I was talking about that with someone the other day because I was always at the doctor for a stomach virus, and I was like, I literally just had crippling anxiety, and everyone was like, "Oh, she's got another virus," and I was like picking my fingers, and I was like, "Yep," because I just got another virus.
Just shitting my brain
like,
out.
Like, she'll be all right.
Give her some Pepto.
Just take a swig of Pepto, Allie. You'll be all right. I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Are you in therapy now?
No. It's very expensive.
Expensive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my list of like things to like check off because I feel like in your 20s you just don't spend that much money or input on yourself. Like you skip the dentist, the doctor. You skip a lot.
We've had this conversation before. They're like, how many times you go? I mean, to the dentist. I'm like, when my tooth hurts.
Yeah, you know my worst fear at the dentist came true. They knocked out a filling of mine. She cleaned my teeth and knocked out a filling. And you're like, surely they'll work around it. It's the dentist. No.
She can trust them.
She fucking popped it out. I had to get a $500 crown. It was my worst fear. I'm never going back now. They ruined it for me forever. Because she popped out my filling and I had to get a $500 crown. Then when I got my temporary, they used cement on accident.
What?
And cemented it to my tooth.
Cement on, what is this, Bugs Bunny?
Like permanent
Where'd
cement,
they get
because
cement?
they do the permanent cement for normal ones, but for temporaries they don't.
How'd they get it off?
They had to, so I had to leave. So I had a full meltdown. My grandma had died 2 days before I went, and they couldn't get that off. So I had a full meltdown at the dentist. Tears just streaming into my ears. My ears were like just soaking when I could barely hear. I was like... And you know, like when you get frustrated, you start sweating. And I could feel their frustration. I was getting frustrated. They made me come back to chip it off.
Oh my God.
And it turned into a new insurance year. And they said my insurance went up. And I was like, I feel like that's on you, babe.
For real.
I came in to get my permanent in December.
Yeah.
You
This
fucked
is why,
up.
well, I shouldn't say that, but.
This is why people. Dude, I was I mean, that was actually my worst fear. Because I was like, what bad thing could happen at the dentist? You're so dramatic, Allie.
And God's like, let me show you, my child.
I became a Christian again that day. I was like, God, show me what's going to happen. I was like, we're back. I guess I don't know, man. I thought you left me when I was young.
You've been wonderful. Thank you for coming on.
Wait,
here.
we sidetracked.
Oh, did we? I thought we were right on track.
Therapy.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, you were talking about you don't expend money.
It's expensive.
Okay.
I went
Worth it. It's
I went as a kid, and they encouraged me to tell jokes, so I'm good, right?
You know that's not true.
That was obviously a joke. That I killed in that room though. My therapist thought I was so funny as a kid. He was not a good therapist.
Yikes.
But
oh my god! Don't get me started.
Don't give me.
I told him that I called my stepmom chlamydia, and her name was Lydia, and he thought it was the funniest thing. He was like, "She's a hoot."
Oh God.
And then I left, and I was like, "I'm good."
Have you tried an adulthood therapy at all?
Yeah.
I've never done adulthood therapy. I've done the sign up for online therapy, but they always
Like the BetterHelp?
Better?
yeah, they always match me with someone that I'm just like, okay, I don't want to talk to you actually. And I don't think I'd be good I'm not good online. I don't like the disconnect.
Yeah.
I just stare at myself the whole time. I like to be around when I can forget about self, right?
Mhm.
People who can I'm not conscious of what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. I like people that make me feel comfortable. Who doesn't?
Mhm.
And online, there's just a disconnect where I'm just
Mhm.
posing the entire time, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder if he thinks I look like.
And they match you with men? We gotta get
You
you
can-
into a woman.
You can
What?
not do
No.
men. You can make it work. They
Yes,
just didn't look
you can-
fun.
Sorry.
She's like,
I said, we gotta get you a woman. And Melanie goes,
we need to get her help.
stop.
No, because I think I was just talking to Kaylee about this before y'all got here. But how I just don't want to put the idea out there that if you have a negative experience in the past with men, there are absolutely times where a female therapist is going to be better suited depending on what your experiences are. But for a woman who has some of those negative experiences, it can be an incredibly reparative experience to work with a male therapist because you are having someone care about you and show up for you, hear you, and they are not needing or wanting or expecting a thing from you. And you've probably never had that experience with the male before. And it will just give you a healthy, an example of what a healthy relationship, if you have the right male therapist.
I know,
I'm
same.
Yeah, that's
I don't believe
why
it, but-
it's sometimes it's harder to match people females with the male therapist, but it can be incredibly healing and rewarding, and a reparative experience because they're not wanting anything besides health for you, and they can hear all parts of you, and you're not being judged for any of it.
I might be really closed off though. I'm just be arms crossed,
Well, a lot of times you are when you go to therapy.
That's
on the
true. That's
very
true.
Beginning. So, but I just wanted to say that.
Yeah.
That just to put
disclaimer.
that out there.
Yeah, that's a good
men
point.
are great therapists
Yeah.
sometimes.
Some of them.
Some
Some
are
of
not,
them.
but some women are awful. Trust me.
Yes.
That's
I've
true.
heard so
That's
many
true.
stories around. It's just
And it's so personal. I feel like it's hard. I almost don't want to deal with the work of finding someone who I would connect with.
But you deserve it.
and now you know a therapist that can
That's
help.
true.
Oh my God. I
I'm gonna
want to
stay here for
say
8 hours.
I go to a therapist under her.
Yeah. Amazing.
All of my people are good.
So good. And you deserve it. You
Yeah.
deserve it.
I know a lot of people won't go to therapy. They think they won't be funny anymore.
That's not true.
Yeah.
I think you can be better.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think so too.
Because one, today I had such a good session where I was just so calm and in my higher self. And I was like, bro, I could just I'm so good at what I do. I'm not worried. It was just chill.
Yeah.
Instead of
Well, think about when you try to talk about something that you're still reactive to.
Yeah.
When you work through your stuff, how much more you can talk about it in the way that you like to talk about it. If that's on stage and with comedy, you have more autonomy over your story after.
I
working
get
through
that.
it. Yeah.
There's some jokes I've tried that I'm not healed from, and I'm like,
Why aren't y'all laughing?
Like, I feel like I have some work to do on this subject still. And then other things that I've like desensitized myself from, like a really embarrassing story that I'm like, that's like liberating to tell on stage. Because I'm like, I don't let that bother me anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So I get that. I love that. I should. Ellie's gonna go to therapy.
Yay.
Maybe.
I told my friend the other day, I was like, are you in, or I asked her, I was like, are you in therapy? She got so defensive and was like, oh, you think I need therapy? I was like,
Literally
I
everyone.
think
Like, well,
everyone
that response
deserves.
says yes.
I'm like, it's not an
I'm gonna get my
attack.
mom to go to therapy and she can tell me what's up. My mom told me that a therapist said she has nothing to work on one time, and I was like, who'd you go
Oh,
see?
God. You're like, are we seeing the same guy?
I was like,
Or girl?
I don't think so, babe. I don't think they said that to you.
I don't think so, babe.
I don't think so. I think that's what you heard.
Well, if you get curious, hit up Melanie
Yes.
because it's such a great
you're
place.
not. Do you actually see people like clients?
I
Still?
do. Not as many. I don't do like full caseload. I normally
Yeah.
do. Like I'm not a primary therapist. Like
Okay.
so that I do more intensive work with
Yeah.
clients. But yeah,
But she has a great, like,
yeah. I
Cast.
have 7 therapists.
I was gonna say coven for some reason. And I was like, what am I talking about?
I'm a witch.
the leads and the understudies are all solid. So
You're like,
any day you go, it's
okay.
going to be an amazing performance.
Not me wheezing in the microphone. I feel like when I've wheezed and I've like teared up, like I'm having fun.
Oh,
That's like the qualifications.
I want that on a
If I
shirt.
start crying and my asthma's activated, I'm having a great time.
I'm so glad to know you. I'm so glad that you're in Nashville, and I'm excited for our relationship to grow.
Same. I literally when I met you, even though you think I'm closed off,
I knew that. I knew. Just at the beginning, when we sat down and talked, I was
Yes.
like, she's open.
okay.
But at the beginning, I was like, does she not like me? But then I was like, we've never met, so that's not possible. But then when I sat down, it
Literally,
was so open.
I'm so like even after we talked later, I was like, Amber doesn't like me. I was like,
She invited me to come hang out on her podcast. Something's weird.
I was like, she asked me to contact her. She doesn't like me. She was just kidding. I was like, why am I like this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
need
no,
to
I just
believe
showed
it.
up. I'm glad you came and showed up.
Me too.
Yes.
I
Oh,
do
this
like
is
you.
amazing.
I want you to know that.
I love you.
I love you
I'm like
too.
obsessed with you.
Oh my God.
Secretly. No, I'm just
Stop.
kidding.
Ugh, you just told me
This
that.
happens with every guest.
I know, but like I was like literally everyone
They all
likes
fall
Amber,
in
so
love
it's
with
like
Amber.
I'm not special. Like everyone, literally everyone feels that.
Oh, I really do.
And then everyone's like, Allie, she's a little
What? They don't say
standoffish.
that.
No, they don't. I'm just kidding.
Allie. Should have never said anything. I don't feel that way about you.
I know you don't.
I think you're very open.
I know you don't.
And vulnerable and wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, you
Because
have-
when you sat, like, I was like, it's kind of weird, and I was like, you want to sit next to me? And
Yeah.
then I was
Oh my
like,
God. I loved that.
Yeah.
Well, before you asked me to sit down, I felt like we were bonding. And so I was so grateful that you said sit down because I don't do parties. And so I was
Okay.
like, I found someone that I really
Okay.
like. Thank
Yeah.
God we're bonding.
Yeah.
It was literally a moment.
was
And
like,
maybe it
was
was
that
my
just
own
in my head?
insecurity.
I pushed my own insecurity onto you, and then
And
I
maybe
was
I
like,
did the same.
What if
Look
she
at this
feels
awareness happening.
Yes.
the same way? I was like, and then I was like even scared to message you later, and I was like, she's not gonna respond to me. She didn't like me. So, so
We're doing the
stupid.
same thing.
And I was like, I feel like
so
we're
cute.
so similar.
We are.
It's really weird.
We are.
Yeah. Because every time I hear you tell a story, I'm like,
I know.
Same.
I'm like, what?
I know.
Yeah.
And then I feel weird because I don't want to be like, me too. But me too.
You're like, it's me. Yeah. Every story. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you
You're
so
wonderful.
much for having me. I love you.
I love
and
you
I
too.
loved meeting you so much.
Isn't she great?
Same.
I'm obsessed with you.
We always ask, you're so wonderful. We always ask people what they like to do for themselves. Like their them thing that's just like, yeah,
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Something that makes me go, yeah.
Which is a totally real
Masturbate.
orgasm sound, by
Yeah.
the way.
I feel like someone would leave. I want to do it just to fuck with someone.
No.
Yeah.
No.
We gotta chill. I love to. I was gonna make a joke too. I was gonna say I love disassociating.
No.
It's a good joke.
Melanie's like, I can't laugh at
She
that.
laughed, but she's like not happy about it.
Yeah.
I did dance for a long time, which I know you did
I
too.
did.
Because Amber like popped up. I did dance for like 14 years, so I love to dance around my house and cry to Taylor Swift.
Dancing is such a beautiful language, bro.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love doing boudoir. I like skincare. I like spending money. Anything that requires spending money, I like to do.
So that
Therapy
means you can go
costs
to
money.
therapy.
Yeah.
I literally was like,
Gotcha.
You're not trying to reel that one back.
I literally, we talked about skincare the other day, and I was like, what if I got her like a gift? And then I was like, I can't afford therapy. And I was like, here's this gift. And I was like, I feel like I would be so roasted. And I was like, never mind, we'll do it another time.
I get you.
I
get you.
feel like
Yeah.
I meet people sometimes that I'm like, but I'm like, I fucking get her.
1,000. I can't.
Yeah.
Do you see me agreeing wholeheartedly with you?
Like wholeheartedly.
By shaking your whole body, yes.
Like, I could go on it. I mean, this is just gonna turn. I mean,
my heart is
"Can y'all,
exploding.
like, wrap it up?"
Sometimes
Like,
my therapist is like, "Where do you feel that in your body right now?" I feel it like this.
same. You're like, they're like, okay.
I have
Can
to
you
take
tell-
the lead here.
Can you tell people where they can find you online?
So, all my social media is Allie Newsome, except Instagram is A Newsome. I tried to get the username back, but it turns out I took it 12 years ago and I don't know the password. And I'm like,
Allie,
that checks out.
Can you spell Allie?
Alli, Queen, Newsome, Newsom. On all socials, Allie Newsome. Like I said, Instagram, A Newsome.
Perfect.
Someone took it 12 years ago. I was like, that checks out. I disliked myself 12 years ago more than anyone. So
Oh no.
she took that name.
Thank you for coming, Allie.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Thanks for being here.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to I'm Fine, It's Fine podcast. I am trauma therapist Melanie Reese, and you can find me across all platforms at Trauma Therapy Nashville.
My name is Amber Autry. I am a comedian here in Nashville and internationally touring. You can find me on all platforms at Amber Autry Comedy. And while you're at it, make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing, rating, reviewing this podcast. I know that sounds like a lot, but it helps so much. And we're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
We're healing. It feels good. So just a little extra sauce, sharing it with a friend, rate and review it. It really helps, and we appreciate it.
Yeah. And if you have a topic or conversation that you want to hear us talk about, or a story you'd like to share on your own, shoot us an email at imfinesometimes@gmail.com. Thanks so much for listening.